Hello, hello. This is the My Artifact episode number 3999. Like saying this number is a kind of like a far more bigger milestone that we think I achieve. 3999. That's like a really big number, and I record almost like a 3999 artifact. I was like technical point of perspective, maybe I already achieved 4000 artifact. Already achieved. Okay, yeah, but this is a kind of like a recognized version. Okay, because of that he usually is this thing sometime I just like messed up with the number and things and that. But when I looking at this number, like it's a very legit number, by the way. I'm pretty sure that I already crossed almost like a 4000 artifacts. But like a kind of like a something being really acknowledged that okay, this is a kind of like a 3999 artifact. I was like, boy, that's a too much. That's a very big journey that we did. It's like too much. It's been almost like 11 year. Okay, so that's why it is. And since this beginning of this year, I started recording twice in a day. So yeah, and as also this is in ki like lately I'm recording artifact far more, and also it's kind of like a very much essential. I just can't stop thinking. I just wanted to record artifact as much as I want twice in a day. That is really essential. So yeah, whatever. So let's just jump into the question. So all right. So question is, do I acknowledge people only when they succeed, or only when they make effort or progress? That's a really good question. First of all, what exactly is this question, and why am I asking this question to myself? A couple of days ago, I read a book, "How to Win and Influence People" by Dale Carnegie. It was really amazing book. Highly recommend to you to read this book. I wanted to implement the value that book taught me. How do I supposed to do that? By asking question to myself and giving the honest answer. So I went to ChatGPT, kind of like I said that I read this book. I wanted to implement the value. Suggest me 20 question. ChatGPT kind of like a suggest me 20 question, and this is one of those questions. By the way, most of the question actually in the mobile phone. It's actually save in notes, but because of its recording, I can't do fiddle anything at all. So that's why I wrote question in here. Okay, this is the question. Okay, and by the way, this is the new book that I'm reading right now. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, which is also really good. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about that. So question is that wait, the question is that, do I acknowledge people only when they succeed, or also when they are kind of like making effort and things and that. Okay, that's a really kind of like a really good question. Okay, so basically is this thing, it's a kind of like a thing that now when you win, people are acknowledge that you already did something and that, and people are kind of like a praise you. People are kind of like a somebody giving you compliment. A kind of like a somebody is this thing that congrats actually happen when you win. No one kind of like a give any supports or any kind of like a somebody claps or any kind of like acknowledge when they are kind of like a putting any kind of like effort. And why does people are not kind of like a something provide support when they are putting effort, and only they are kind of like a provide support when they are achieve success? Why is that? Because like a success is a relative. Oh yeah. Now what's the relative? A relative means like it change. Means like that today I achieve success, tomorrow I might not. It's a kind of like a things. You cannot achieve success all the time. When you achieve success, you fail too. Then you achieve success. It's a loop. Okay, yeah. It's a kind of like a somebody is this thing that graph sometime went high, went low, went high, went low, went high. Okay, yeah. So basically this thing, success is a kind of like a relative term. Okay, yeah. And basically it just does not really represent that you are kind of like a succeeded, because it's a relative. Okay, yeah. Let me kind of like give you example. Okay, yeah. I am a kind of like a aspirant student. I am kind of like a preparing a government exam of, okay, and I put lot of effort for almost like a 5 year, and after that I cracked the government job. I became the bank PO. Okay, yeah. Now when I became the bank PO, I was the kind of like only one who kind of like became the cracked the government exam in my family. Okay, yeah. So everyone are praised me. Everyone are kind of like said that you did something really good things and that and that and that and that. So from your point of perspective and your family point of perspective, you achieve success. So imagine your success is here. Okay, yeah. Now you got a job, you are started doing your life, you married and things and that and that. Then this success is kind of like a straight as it is, just nothing change, just kind of like every day you kind of like wake up, go to the office, go to the bank, do your stuff, come home at 7 p.m, kind of like do your stuff, sleep, things and that and that. So your success is kind of like a so just like like straight. That is called settle part. Okay, yeah. Like a this is kind of like a called as a settle part. Okay, yeah. Now in this particular scenario, are you are putting any kind of like effort to achieve success? No. But dude, I am putting a lot of effort. Like I'm kind of like a somebody going lot of stuff and things and that, and there are a lot of stuff in the bank. I'm putting lot of effort. So basically, why is my effort is not counting as achieving success? Because even if you are bank PO, and even if you put succeed, like even if you kind of like try so much amount of effort and things and that, you might gonna become bank PO to probably manager. Okay, or something like that, or maybe something bigger if you do something really much more things. Okay, yeah. But still is this thing, the praise that you get when you became bank PO is kind of like a much more higher, but if you became manager you will kind of like a praise very less. Maybe some people are kind of like envy at you. Okay, yeah. And when you climb ladder even higher again, then very less people will gonna happy, more people will kind of like a jealous of you. This is true fact, by the way. Okay, yeah. Let me tell you one thing. People want you to succeed, but some certain level, not too much. Okay, yeah. Why? Okay, let me kind of like give you. So let's just say I was a kind of like a somebody, a aspirant student. I was kind of like a somebody doing a preparation exam for government exam, government bank exam. Okay, yeah. So I was nobody. Okay, yeah. I was just preparing and things and that and that. So I was nobody, nothing really at all. But when I achieved that succeed, when I became bank PO, I became something from nothing. I became something from nothing, right? So this is part is nothing, this is part is something. I became something. And this is what society sees. Society sees that you became something. Bank PO, bank clerk, or kind of like a government officer, whatever it is. You became something. Okay. Yeah. Now when you from something like basically let's just say bank PO to bank manager, you became like after 5 years of effort, you became bank manager. Okay, yeah. So when you became bank manager, okay, yeah, people will kind of like somebody like this transformation from bank PO to bank manager, it does not feel like like so much drastically change. Like basically in this situation, you are nothing, you became bank PO. You are became something from nothing. When you try to achieve from there to there, like a bank PO to manager, you are already a something and you became something even higher. So like let me tell you one thing, na, people does not see any kind of like a somebody is saying that key like a change. Like change means a kind of like a drastically change. Huh, maybe your closer relative might gonna feel that okay, you are became a bank manager and things and that, but the happiness that they get when you became nothing from something is kind of like a much more higher. But when you became kind of like a bank PO to manager, that happiness, the people kind of like a happiness or acknowledgement that you get is kind of like a much more lesser. Okay, yeah. Okay, this is a kind of like a one part. Another part, when you became bank PO to manager, some people are kind of like a little bit of jealous of you, envy at you. Why? People want you to get succeed, that is true, but people also don't want you to get too much succeed. Okay, yeah. Because when you get too much succeed, that means you are above their kind of like a head, like above their expectation. Okay, example, this is it. Society wants that he you should supposed to be stand and walk with ourselves. Okay, like let's just imagine everyone are kind of like a only walking. If one person fall, society kind of like a help that particular person to rise up and walk with us. That is called societal level. Society wants you to kind of like a fall, then kind of like a walk by yourself and things like that. But if you are kind of like a particular person started flying, then society kind of like a simply brings you down. Why? Because you are doing something against the society, or you are doing something kind of like a simply bigger than society. Okay, is it wrong? No, it's not wrong. Then why are you say this thing that society kind of like a pull the leg? Is because of that key. Okay, let me kind of like simply describe. It's not a society, it's a natural phenomenon. Let's take a simple example. Okay, take a glass of water. Okay, and you put kind of like a simply 2 glass of sugar. Okay, stir it. That water became sweet, right? Simple is that. Okay, now you put the kind of like a 2 glass of sugar. Okay, now what should you supposed to do? You put kind of like a just tiny tikhat means chili powder. You put just tiny, just little bit. Okay, from simple example, let's just say you put kind of like a something 10 gram of sugar into the glass of water, 10 gram. Okay, and you stir it. That water became kind of like a sweet. Okay, then you put the kind of like a something just 1 gram of chili powder into that. Okay, and you stir it. So tell me, what would be the taste would like? Is it sweet? Is it spicy? What would be? Is it still considered as a sweet? Why? Because most of the kind of like a something soluble particle are sweet particle, sugar particle. So that's why this kind of like a became sweet. Okay, only and only it will kind of like a change its taste when that chili powder is kind of like a became than half of higher, like a 5 gram or more than that. When you put 5 gram or more than that, then after that the taste of that water became little bit of spicy. I'm not like this example is not really exactly associated with the kind of like a cooking point of perspective, because I'm not really sure what will gonna taste look like, but try to understand. Okay, you blend with the society let you blend. But if you are just one tiny person, or try to do something really different, your impact is nothing really on the society. You will not going to impact that much, because you are in very less number. Okay, you are in very less number. But when you are in too much, then it might gonna impact on society, and when it impact on society, it change the society. Okay, but how this kind of like example associate with this bank PO? Okay, okay. Let me tell you one thing. Society is a kind of like a very much different according to the location. Let me tell you one thing. I live in India, so this is my society. If you are from US and Europe or any kind of like a things, this is your society. Also, is this thing, society means a kind of like a consider as a clan. Okay, consider as a clan or group of people. Okay, and human evolution is a kind of like a something developed through combining together. Okay, like when we combine together, our survival chances kind of like became higher. Since then we are started living together, and when we are started living together, it is kind of like a really essential that what does everyone does, you have to do the same thing. Why? Because it kind of like a blend into the society, and you will not kind of a consider as a kind of like a harmless and things and that. But if you try to do something bigger than rest of people, then rest of people consider that key you might be wrong. Why is kind of like a things. Okay, let's just say is this thing you might be wrong means what, why is that thing like it's not completely right? Well, it is because of that na ki a thought process. Okay, yeah. Um, okay, I'm living in tier 3 city. Okay, and in here there is no problem at all. Like if you went to bank PO to bank manager, nothing really matter. Let's take a village, Indian typical village. How? Let's take a Indian village. Okay, yeah. So let's just say, um, because of your posting is on the village, or maybe something that you are born in that village. Okay, yeah, and you became kind of like a nothing to something, means you are nothing to become bank PO. Okay, yeah. So bank PO you became, and your lifestyle is actually changed, but according to the society. Okay, means like that in the village, everyone are kind of like a driving a motorcycle, or kind of like a, they have kind of like a some typical normal house, things and that and that. That is called blend in the society. Okay, yeah. You are kind of like a status according to the societal level. Okay, when you became bank PO. Now let me tell you one thing. When you became bank PO to manager, bank manager, your salary hike, you are getting a lot of money, things and that and that. Because of you are getting a lot of money, obviously you are spending money on yourself, on your activity or your things and that. So you might gonna kind of like buy a car, or you might gonna buy a kind of like a bigger house for yourself. Okay, so just imagine, you in the village, everyone have the kind of like a just normal house, but you have bigger house, bigger car. Okay, yeah. So basically, just try to look from villagers point of perspective. Imagine from villagers point of perspective. Oh, ये तो बहुत अमीर बन गया. हाँ. अरे वो अमीर नहीं बन गया. He is not became rich. He is a kind of like doing lot of corruption. That's why he's kind of like earning money. Do you get it? They are started. The villagers have started talking negative about this particular person who became succeed. By the way, he became succeed by his own effort and things and that and that. He didn't really did any kind of like wrong stuff. But why does villagers thinks like that? Villagers always thinks like that कि ये this particular person became bigger than us. Okay, and that's why the society kind of like lets you pull your leg. Okay, yeah. Same thing happened with a glass of water. In the glass of water, everyone has sugar, and the pieces of powder is a chili powder put inside. That pieces of things, that spiciness does not add anything at all, because the volume is kind of like a very less. It does not impact society. Okay, yeah. And even after you kind of like a drink, still that water kind of like a feel like sweet. Okay, because there is a higher concentration about of sugar, right? So this is what it is. This is what kind of like a things that key, it will not gonna impact society. And whatever the property that you have, your property is kind of like a being kind of like a spiciness. That spiciness is actually gone because of everyone are here are kind of like a sweet. Okay, yeah. It's a natural phenomenon, by the way, and this natural phenomenon is also embedded in human mind too. Okay, so how so that's why it just kind of like somebody is this thing. That's why is this thing that ki most of people, when you get succeeded from nothing to something, they are trying to cheer you. But when you become something to even more something, then they will not gonna cheer you. They will kind of like envy at you and things and that and that. All right, yeah. Now you understand this concept. Okay, now let's just try to figure it out. When people are okay, this situation, then I try to tell you, it depends on society. I am kind of like a giving you example as a villager's point of perspective, but this thing change according to the different society. Means if you do the same thing in a city, in the city people, it might not gonna impact. Okay, yeah. It's just nothing really at all. Okay, so basically it depends on society. It depends on kind of like a where you live, things and that and that and that. Okay, yeah. If you went to New York, then probably is this thing that key you became bank manager, nothing really, it doesn't really matter at all. When you became a CEO, then you are considered as a kind of like a somebody, okay, you are a kind of like a citizen of New York. Then you became kind of like a mayor, okay, something like that. But it's just like that, no? It's a kind of like somebody, the society is kind of like a changing. Okay, like as I mentioned, is this thing that when you put so much amount of kind of like somebody spiciness, then the taste of water would gonna change amount of spiciness add the impact on the society change. Okay, and right now it kind of like a changing, but it kind of like a depends on society to society. All right, got it. Now the question is that key basically is this thing, how when will I supposed to be kind of like a congrats? Okay, why does people are not supporting when they are putting effort and only support when they achieve success? Still is this thing same situation is that when you become nothing to something, people are kind of like somebody praise you, compliment you, things and that because you are became nothing to something. Okay, yeah. Have you kind of like somebody heard so many news in newspaper? I'm talking about specifically in Indian context point of perspective. Is that ki my father is always kind of like a telling that कि इसके पिता like a his father is a kind of like a driving a motor or kind of like a auto rickshaw. Okay, yeah. Their financial condition, their family condition is not really good, nothing really at all. But still after that, that kid kind of like a put effort, and that kid will kind of like a became a kind of like a something the like a kind of like a bank officer, and he proud his father. His father is kind of like a driving a motorcycle and things. When you heard this news is kind of like a bit more inspirational. Okay, inspirational that he a kind of like a father was a kind of like a somebody auto rickshaw driver, but his son became a kind of like a somebody very higher government officer. Okay, so this is what kind of like a inspiration news. Everyone are kind of like a praise for that and things and that. But no one told you after that. No one told you what exactly happened after that. Sorry about I have to end this. Thank you. Okay, this is the part 2 of this episode 3999. Like in between I have to do something, so yeah. All right, so I haven't really kind of like going to give the answer regarding about that key when will I supposed to be kind of like a compliment, like when people are kind of like putting effort, or when people are kind of like a something like a like at the end. Okay, yeah. So first of all, let's just understand why does people are not compliment other people when they are kind of like a putting effort. Is because of that ki they are not know the stuff. Okay, how? Okay, so basically how is that thing actually happen? So let's just say I kind of like mention the news. Okay, yeah. Kind of like a some auto rickshaw driver, his son became a kind of like a some IAS officer. So when you get the news, you knew that things actually happened, then you congratulate. Like the one of the beautiful part about the human psychology is this thing that ki when you get succeed, it only and only then notice. Okay, yeah. So that is the kind of like a some really beautiful part. This does not rely. Okay, let me kind of like define you something like that. Okay, let's just say you are nothing, you became something. You are getting value when you became something. That value will kind of like other people will understand, and then people will kind of like praise you, something like that. Okay, yeah. So what I'm trying to tell you, let me kind of like something. Why does people are congratulate over here but not here? Is because of very less people knows that you are putting effort. But when you achieve here, and there is a news flash that the auto rickshaw driver became IS officer, auto rickshaw driver's son became IS officer, and things and that. So that when you achieve this success, it knows so many people. It knows so many people, and that's the beautiful part. When you achieve success, that succeed is kind of like a notice to so many people. So that's why then people are kind of like giving you congratulations. It's not really that people are not congratulate when you are putting effort, because very less people actually knows that you are kind of like only putting effort. Very less, like probably maybe just very closely relative and things and that's it. Okay, but when you achieve success, so many people will get the notification or kind of like information that you already achieved success and things and that. So they will get congratulated. Okay, yeah. Now same situation when you became this to this, like a bank PO2 manager. Okay, yeah. Is this thing that key same that key when you achieve this much succeed. Okay, yeah. only and only people knows that when you achieve success. Okay, when you put the effort, no one knows that thing. Okay, yeah. So this is what it is. So that's why the number of congratulation came after you succeed. Because of that, most of people knows that you actually could achieve success. Okay, yeah. And when you kind of like putting effort or things and that, very less people knows that thing. Okay, yeah. So that's why they are not really kind of like simply giving you congratulation, or very less congratulation, or very less kind of like acknowledgement and things and that, because no one knows that you are kind of like putting effort. Okay, yeah. Very closely people are kind of like putting effort. Now also there is also another psychology, that why does even I know that this particular person is kind of like putting effort, but why I cannot able to be do effort, like why I should kind of like give you kind of congratulations, but why I do not, why I kind of like resist myself to not to do the kind of like congratulations when you are putting effort and things and that, and why does not? Because we don't know that this particular person will gonna achieve success or not. Like let me kind of like when you became nothing to something, when you are kind of like in nothing situation, you are putting a lot of effort, you are study so hard, other people does not see that na. Other people kind of like thinks that ki it's very difficult to become that particular person. So why do I supposed to give congratulations to that particular person that might not know he will gonna become success or not? Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing na, ki from your point of perspective, let's just imagine from your point of perspective, you are seeing a particular person who's kind of like putting effort to crack the government exam. Okay, yeah. Now would you compliment that particular person? Well, I might gonna say very simple, like a best of luck or goodwill, or like a like that's it. Okay, like you might not gonna do too much kind of a compliment, or too much kind of like give you any acknowledgement or things and that. Why? Because you don't know na ki will that particular person become success or not. Okay, yeah. But when that people become succeed, you already know this particular person achieved the succeed. Then you kind of like giving the compliments from your point of perspective. Is this thing the compliment that you give when other people are kind of like putting effort? You don't know that compliment might gonna work or not, or there is no value of kind of like compliment even if that particular person didn't really achieve anything at all. Because why would I supposed to give the compliment if that particular person didn't really achieve anything at all? He's just putting effort. Okay, yeah. So you are bitterly hesitate to give the compliment, even if I want to, but hesitate. Okay, yeah. It really required a lot of effort to give the compliment, even if it didn't really achieve the success, but putting a lot of effort, and I know that fact. But still, it really required me put a lot of effort to kind of like says that ki you are doing something really right, or you're putting a lot of effort and things and that. So that's why you are kind of like getting very less compliment when you are kind of like putting effort. When you are when you are kind of like achieve success, then people are kind of like giving you compliment and things and that. All right. Now, the another example that I try to tell you is this thing that ki succeed. Okay, yeah. Like a succeed is a kind of like of things when you notice. Like a things is like a succeed is a kind of like things when it notice automatically, but when you become fail, it kind of like disappear. This application apply on normal people who are not in the limelight. Okay, yeah. But if you are actor, if you are kind of like a job is a kind of like a meant to be show your face and things and that, and you are putting a lot of effort to kind of like a somebody in the movie or things and that movie does not work well. Okay, yeah. So basically it considered as a failure because of that ki your like your visual presence is always been there. Okay, yeah. And you are putting effort but you fail. So yeah, so this kind of like a thing is not applied. Okay, yeah. So when you are kind of like a really big person, or very kind of like somebody very lot of eyeball actually looking at you, and when you became fail, then your failure is become lesson to people. Okay, yeah. Or people will kind of like remember you for a longer period of time. Okay. But when you are nobody, okay, yeah, and when you became fail, no one noticed that, and no one kind of like a take care. So basically is this thing, I am kind of like a right now, I am kind of like a YouTuber. I kind of like a create almost like a till now I create almost like a 10,000 videos on my YouTube platform in all my profiles and things and that. Okay, yeah. And still I haven't really get anything at all. So basically even if I kind of like make a video, it fail, nothing really bother me at all, because I am nobody at all. But when I became something, and in that something situation, when I then became fail, then that's a very wrong situation. Okay, so in that situation, when I became succeed, I make sure that ki whatever the action that I do, it should supposed to be succeed. So that's why is this thing now, when the people who are getting successful, they are kind of like a reluctant to do kind of like a very crazy step, because of that ki they don't know that will they get succeed or not. Okay, yeah, they will try less. Okay, yeah, but when you nobody and you are trying, you keep trying. That's like basically, do you understand? That? That's why kind of like somebody Shah Rukh Khan made a kind of like a somebody maybe one movie in 5 years. Why? Because of that, he was kind of like a making sure that whatever the project that he will gonna do should supposed to be succeed. Okay, yeah, should supposed to be resonate with the people and things and that and that. But if you are kind of like a somebody just a normal actor who just want to, yeah, you want to do it, so you wanted to kind of like a work on web series, advertisement, movies, or whatever it is, what you will get and things and that and that. Okay, so this is what it is. Okay, yeah, this is what kind of like a game was actually happening. Now the question is that will I able to be kind of like a give the compliment when the people are kind of like a putting the effort? I will, I will gonna give the compliment, but still very tiny. Okay, yeah, I will not gonna like I will gonna do the compliment, but still very tiny. I will, yeah, because of that, still same apply regarding to me. Like basically, it's not really that key. I would kind of like somebody give the compliment when people are kind of like effort and things and that. I will gonna say like a best of luck, good, thank you, really amazing. Yeah, that's it, but not too much. Okay, yeah, because I still don't know na ki when that people will gonna achieve success or not. But still is this thing na ki when you are putting effort and somebody kind of like giving you a compliment, it does feel good, it does kind of like a feel motivated and things and that it kind of like add the confidence to the people who are kind of like putting effort. So his point of perspective, when he get compliment for his effort, he get motivated and he kind of like do things more, which is kind of like a really helpful for him. Okay, yeah, and I wanted to make sure that whatever the word that I'm saying, it might gonna impact him. So I might gonna do little bit of compliment, but little bit, not too much, because still I'm not really sure will that particular person succeed or not, because trying to achieve succeed, lot of effort required, and that effort is kind of like a things that na we kind of like a things a lot of effort or बहुत सारी मेहनत लगती है, but it's just like that na कि we don't know how much effort. Okay, yeah, so that's what kind of like things. So this is just my opinion. All right. So this is it. I should supposed to be end here, and thank you.